What's up, everybody? Welcome to my review of the Innova Garrett Gurthie Team Champion Series Sonic. I believe this is in the DX plastic. I don't know what else it would be. This is a tour fundraiser disc for Garrett Gurthie. Garrett is back on the scene this season. He's playing great. He's always had a huge arm, and he's always been super fun to watch throw. I finally got a chance to see him play a little bit more golf than I have before out at the Beaver State Fling this year, and he's really interesting to watch. So smooth, so much power and energy on the disc, it's just ridiculous. And one of his go-to discs is the Sonic. It's kind of funny because it doesn't necessarily match his like big power thrower vibe that he has going on to have such a touch disc as the Sonic. But he uses it for a lot of different approach shots and kind of long go-for-it putts and the sort of things you would use a Sonic for, and he's super effective with it, and this is a disc that he has chosen to be his Tour Series disc. So let's get into the review. I bought this one for myself, so no sponsors to thank. You can thank me for this one. Team Champion, Garrett Gurthie Sonic, pretty cool stamp. I dig it, no problems there. I like the kind of lavender, purple, and the copper two-tone stamp on this thing. Looks good. So if you're not familiar with this disc, it's going to be quite strange for maybe some of those newer players that aren't familiar with these old school lid type discs. But this thing's basically it's just like a frisbee. It's not really a disc per se. It's not really beveled edge. I mean, compared to this is a driver. It's just the closest thing. I mean, look at the difference there. Obviously, it's not a putter, but still, it's a frisbee. It's not really a disc per se. It's not beveled edge. Honestly, the closest thing I have laying around to put it up next to it for design is the Aviator. It's another, lid frisbee. You can see Sonic is definitely way smaller, so it's golf disc size. But other than that, it's basically just a lid. It's got this part here that protrudes out of the top of the flight plate. It's got these little ridges here that I guess you're supposed to kind of put your thumb on for grip. I will say it's a little bit strange to throw sometimes because it's just like a small frisbee, so the grip feels a little weird. I'm not really sure the best way to grip it, whether to put my thumb out here or on that part there. And if I were to carry this thing much longer, I'd probably get more comfortable with it. But I had a couple times where it released a little funky just because I'm not used to throwing a disc with this type of design to it, especially out there on the disc golf course. So yeah, DX plastic, don't really need to go into too much with that. One of the downsides of the Sonic, for sure, is that they apparently are very fragile and will break quite a bit as they kind of dry out, as they get broken in. Apparently they will just crack if you hit a tree too hard or something like that, is what I've heard. And I've heard that a number of players that would have carried them or have carried them in the past kind of stopped carrying them because of that attribute, and you don't want to have a ton of them laying around. I also believe, since this one is max weight 175, I also believe that for some period of time it was difficult to obtain them in the max weight, like they're all really super lightweight. Which is not necessarily the best option for your kind of pro player looking for the most consistent disc they can get. It's not really super smart to be throwing something that's like 140 grams or whatever, especially with such a floaty, touchy disc already. So yeah, it feels good in the hand. I like this plastic. It's got some good give to it. It's grippy. I can't really speak to the long-term durability of it, but I will say that I've heard from several folks that they do break. If you just after a while, they'll just kind of they'll go. But it's a DX disc, so what's the big deal? If you can get them, it wouldn't be that big of a deal to have a stack of them, I guess. Cycle them in as needed. And let's take a look at some flights here. I didn't really get much in the way of like short approaches and putting kind of footage, which I probably should have done. It's definitely a nice disc that you can kind of just throw like a really floaty putt straight at the basket, and it won't really fade at all. It'll just hold super straight all the way into it. But we were just out throwing in the field, putting some energy on it, trying to get some distance. In a tailwind, if you get this thing up in the tailwind, it really does carry for a long way. We had it going almost as far as drivers and mid-ranges, if not farther than some of the overstable stuff we were testing, especially with the wind. Up in the wind, it'll carry for a long period of time. It's a really floaty disc, like a frisbee. It is pretty point and shoot. I don't find it to be super flippy, where it's like crazy hard to control, but it's not really a golf disc. You have to put some touch on it, you have to give it some hyzer, and you have to be a little bit gentle with it. I could see it being extremely effective for those certain approaches, like especially in the woods, where we really have to hit specific gaps. It holds lines really well, so it'll hold a soft turnover with almost no power, which can be difficult for certain discs. Some discs will want to fade off of the line when you don't throw them with much energy. I don't see the Sonic being a problem with that. You can get it to hold a really nice floaty line on lots of different angles. Garrett will throw it with a ton of hyzer up into the air and let it float soft hyzer at the basket, give it a chance to go in. I've heard of players like Brian Schweberger using it from outside the circle, because you can just kind of just spin putt it straight into the basket and it'll just hold dead straight. It won't really fade off of the line. So it's a nice, effective kind of certain occasion disc. It's not going to be your go-to approach disc. I doubt anybody really uses them as their main putter. Maybe a few people do, and if that works, it works. But if I were to carry this thing, it would definitely be for those touchy approaches, the occasional tailwind, just floater shot, and maybe like a downhill floater in the woods or something like that. I could see it being pretty effective. Since I have it, I may throw it in the bag for a while and goof around with it a little bit over the next few months and see where it goes. I don't see it being a permanent part of my system, but it is a fun disc to throw, and I'm definitely happy I checked it out. That's my review on the Sonic. I definitely recommend trying one out if you've never thrown these kind of old school lids. They're definitely fun to just goof around with. And another super viable use for the Sonic is a catch disc. If you want to get out there and warm up before your round, run around a little bit, get your arm loosened up, and play some catch, the Sonic would be a great option for that, because it's still kind of a golf disc, but it's really soft, easy to catch. It's not going to be coming in and hurting your hand like a beveled edge disc might. That's my review. Thanks for watching. I'll check you later. Cheers.